Greetings, Neo-Swedenborgians. So, my special election day edition. Tomorrow is November 3rd, 2020, election day. And a lot of us are feeling anxiety and anticipation yet today. And there's, sorry to say, there's a kind of a feeling of helplessness. And so, I want to address that. What do you do? You're sitting here feeling helpless. What can you do? What do you have the power to do? You vote. You are politically active, maybe, but still there's this underlying feeling of helplessness. What's something you can do where you actually feel like you're doing something? And that is where Neo-Swedenborgianism comes in. Because Neo-Swedenborgianism is an extremely personal thing. Because it's somewhat based on this, what's called the near-death experience. And it's based on this idea of thinking about your own near-death experience. And so, generally the near-death experience might be something like the person's heart stops for one reason or another. They float above their body. They see themselves laying on a hospital bed or something. They float around the ceiling for a while. They see a tunnel of light. They rush down this tunnel of light and they come out into this very brightly lit space, like a city of light or a field of flowers or something. And somebody's there to meet them. And then they have a life review of their life. So, if you read about these things, they say like the person who was there to meet them was just the perfect person. And the place that they went was just so beautiful to them. It was like the most ideal place for them. And then they reviewed their own life in great detail from the perspective of everyone else in their life. So the question is then, who would you meet? Who would meet you there? What would the setting be like? And what would it be like to review your own life, like the life review, from the perspective of everyone else in it, right? So it's not really about listening to me. It's about thinking about your own life in this kind of near-death experience perspective that people come back with. Because people have these near-death experiences, and they come back and many times, they often completely change the way they're living. Because they've gained this perspective on their life, and they don't want to waste it in some way that they feel like they were wasting it. And so you can gain that perspective, maybe not in such a powerful dose, but you can gain that perspective by just thinking about your own life review, right? So, to start with, you could think about the whole near-death experience. Something stops your heart. You're laying on the ground. You float out of your body, and suddenly you're looking at your own body on the ground. You kind of get your bearings, and for some reason you're not scared at all. It's an extremely calm and peaceful feeling. Everybody else is freaking out, and you're just floating here, calm as could be. And then you get bored with that, and you see a little pinpoint of light, which turns into a tunnel. You go down the tunnel. Somebody's there to meet you, maybe even your dog. Maybe your favorite dog is there. Or whoever's there to meet you, it's the perfect person. Maybe it's somebody you miss, somebody you love, somebody you know, whatever. It's just right. And it's in this place that is just beautiful to you. It's ideal to you, and you are astounded at how beautiful it is. So then the questions come up is, what would your perfect place look like? And who would be the perfect person to meet you there? So those are the first two questions. And then And then you come upon the life review, which is a really big thing because they see their whole life in great detail from the perspective of everyone else who they've ever had any interaction with, no matter how small. And so if you think about your own life like that, like you go back to your whole life and you think about first grade, second grade, third grade, every single day of your life, every single person you meet from your birth till that day that you died, what was it like for them to meet you, right? It's a kind of a hard question to ask or even think about. So you go through all your grades in school, you go through all your schoolboy, schoolgirl, school-time friends, you go through your jobs, you go through where the places you've lived. And when I was doing this, I can kind of think of I thought in terms of the beds, different beds I slept in. Because when I was a kid, I was in this one room and the feet of the bed faced that way. And then my brother was born and I was in the same house in a different room facing a different way. And then my bed moved against the other wall in that same room, etc., etc. So I could think about these different points in my life, and you can think about your own life like this. And so that's what I mean by this whole Neo-Swedenborgianism idea is extremely personal. It's very much about you and where you might go. If you are going to go, if it's only in your head, well then what? You're going to go into your own head. Is that comforting or is it horrifying? Anyway, so that's one thing you can control. You can begin this journey into your own inner space, and you can begin by thinking, well, it's the most beautiful place I can imagine. What? So I'll imagine a most beautiful place and think of it being even better than that. And the most perfect person who I'm the most glad to see would meet me there. Who would that be? Think about those two things for a while. Anyway, and a lot of times, what do these places look like? There's flowers and pastures and waterfalls and sunlight. And that's generally flowers, pastures, water of some sort, waterfall, sunlight, and a distant city is kind of a general theme. But anyway, thanks.